Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my postpartum experience with you guys and just what it was like the first few weeks after having a baby. I feel like not a lot of people talk about what really goes on, and being a first-time mom, I wish I would have known these things. I was really unprepared for them and it hit me hard. Postpartum, I can say, isn't the easiest. It's such a blessing to have like your baby in your arms, but there's just so many mixed emotions that come along with having a baby. And yeah, I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. I did write bullets in my notes just because there's a lot that I want to go over. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy this video. If you do, make sure to give it a big thumbs. Okay, so starting off, my experience was a little bit different. Right after we left the hospital, Mason did get flown to another hospital because he was having some stomach complications. So they flew him to a hospital that had a NICU and everything. So you know how they make you stay at least, I think it's 48 hours. I'm not sure. I didn't even stay 24 hours. They discharged me. So everything happened with Mason the night that I had him at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and then that night at like 2 in the morning is when everything started happening. So I hadn't even been there 24 hours, and they called my OB, and my OB came in a little bit earlier than expected, checked me, made sure that everything was okay and that I was ready to be discharged, even though I hadn't even been there a full 24 hours because they do have to monitor the mom. I was cleared to go. We drove to the other hospital where Mason was. Luckily, we got a room right out of the NICU because I was breastfeeding at the time, which I still am, and it was just a close walking distance. So the only bad part about that was at that hospital, the only one being taken care of was Mason. I was no longer like being taken care of. It was just him. I had nothing to do with the nurses and everyone at that hospital. I was just there to take care of Mason, basically. So yeah, all the pain that I was in, I had to go through that while worrying about Mason and just traveling an hour away to another hospital. I was exhausted. I was emotional. I couldn't stop crying. I didn't know what was gonna happen to Mason. I was just going through a lot, and I couldn't sleep because my child wasn't with me, you know. It was really, really hard. So the first night that we slept at the other hospital, I was just in so much pain. My lifesaver was my heating pad. You do bleed a lot. I'm not gonna lie when I say a lot. You have blood clots. I know, TMI, but you do. There would be nights where I would wake up Peter and I would be like, you need to come. Like, I don't think this is normal. Like, you need to come look at this. And turns out it was totally normal. I was there taking pictures, freaking out, but it's just your body getting rid of all your blood clots and everything that was inside of you. And I guess that's just completely normal. I know it's scary. It's gonna look scary, but it's normal. So that was like really hard for me every time I went to the restroom to have to look at that. But yeah, I would go get it over with. Another thing I can say that was super painful, I did tear. I had a 1st-degree tear. For those of you who have 2nd, 3rd, and so on, good luck. Like, I give you props because I was dying. I'm not sure what the difference is from being cut and tearing, but on my birth plan, I did write that I wanted to tear naturally if that was the case. So I did have a 1st-degree tear, and let me tell you, that was so painful. The whole time that we were at the other hospital, Peter was pushing me around in a wheelchair. Like, I could not walk. And throughout the night when Peter was asleep and I would get up to go breastfeed Mason, I was like crippling my way to the other room. Like, it was just so painful to walk, to go to the restroom. Whenever I did go to the restroom, I would have to wake Peter up to come pull up my underwear for me because I couldn't bend down. It was just so painful, and it was really, really tough. I think that was probably the toughest things for me, was tearing, because it was hard in the long run. I didn't wear jeans for like 4 weeks. The first time I put on a pair of jean shorts, I was terrified. Like, it just hurt so bad. And getting to the house, I wasn't able to bend down to pick up a pot or a pan to make any type of food. Like, my spot for a few weeks was the couch. Like, I couldn't even, it took me like 5 minutes to come down our stairs, to go up our stairs. And this, like I said, this is just my experience. Some people might have a better pain tolerance, but mine, I guess it just sucks. But yeah, that was really hard for me, tearing. Breastfeeding. So breastfeeding is hard. It's really hard. It's like you have your baby and they're just like, okay, start latching. And unless you took classes or something, which we didn't do, you might have a little bit more experience than I did. But it was just like, here's your baby and you need to start feeding them if breastfeeding is your choice. And it was mine. So the nurse, I guess she wasn't really helping me like she was supposed to, or maybe that's not even their job. But it turned out whenever we drove to the other hospital, there was a lactation consult and she started helping me. And she was like, whoa, nipples are cracked, like your latch is wrong. And all along I was like, oh, I got this, I'm doing great, it's supposed to hurt. And yes, it is supposed to hurt, but you still need to have a proper latch. And when you do have a proper latch, it shouldn't hurt as much. It's just your nipples getting used to a baby feeding off of them. But yeah, she helped me a little bit. She called into the pharmacy a ointment to help my nipples, and that ointment was a lifesaver. Like within 3 days, my nipples were healed. Yeah, she just helped me. She gave me like the cooling pads, and I was so eager to breastfeed. Like, it's so easy to give up. It really is. It's like formula, and you can just give them formula, which is a great choice if that's your choice. But as for me, I knew that I wanted to breastfeed, and there was just so many times that I just wanted to stop. I would look at Peter like sleeping through the night, and I would get so like mad that I had to get up and feed Mason. So my NICU nurse, she was really nice. She was like, no, you need to go to your room, you need to get some rest. So I would go to my room, sleep for 2 hours, and she would call me every 2 hours, hey, Mason's awake, you can come feed him. And then as soon as I was done feeding him, spending a little bit of time with him, whether it was 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, I was there feeding him on demand every 2 hours. And that was really hard. Honestly, that was really hard, just being sleep deprived and exhausted, in pain. Like, I was like dreadful to know that I had to feed him. And it sounds sad, but I would just be like, oh my god, 2 hours is gonna come and I'm gonna have to feed him. It hurts so bad. But I didn't give up, and that's honestly, I promise you, it does get better. I know in the moment you're going to feel like this just sucks, but it does get better. I promise you that. Like, it really does. But yeah, I just kept pushing through it. We got back home and I pumped exclusively every 2 hours. He would eat and I still had to pump because those first weeks your boobs are just full of milk. I would wake up from sleeping and my shirts would be soaked, and I was like, is it hot in the house? But no, it was just me leaking. So yeah, my shirts would be soaked. I constantly had to be changing my shirts, my nursing pads, and that's just part of breastfeeding. So yeah, breastfeeding does come with a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of time, but I promise you, if it's something you want to do, it's possible. It really is. I remember me and Peter and my family, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings once my mom flew down here, and we were there and my boobs just got so engorged. Like, I had fed him before we left, I had pumped, and your milk is just constantly coming in that they were just so hard, and I couldn't take the pain. Like, I took ibuprofen and we were driving back home from over there, and I was in tears and I was crying, and I was like, I just don't want to do this no more. I don't want to breastfeed. It's so hard, it's so painful. And my mom and my aunt were like, you know, whether you continue to breastfeed or stop, it's going to hurt. Guys, it is really hard to film without baby Mason, but I hope you guys don't mind that he's gonna be in this video. Hopefully he's not too loud, but he was crying. Thunder, you cannot come out too. You cannot. Okay, so yeah, whether you continue to breastfeed or choose to stop, it's going to hurt because you have to let your supply dry out, which means slowly stopping so that you stop producing milk, and your boobs are going to be engorged if you're not getting all that milk out. So it's gonna hurt either way, and I was just going through a lot. I was really doubting my breastfeeding, and I remember being in the room with Peter, and I was like, will you be upset if I switch to formula? And he's like, no, it's totally up to you, but I will tell you this, like, I know you can do it. And when he said that, I was just like, I can, but it hurts. And it's so painful, like pumping. It's a lot in the beginning when you're in pain down there from having a baby. You're sore, your body feels like you got hit by a truck. And when I say that, like literally you just feel drained, and then you're worried about taking care of your little one. But yeah, I just had a lot of support from Peter. I really did. He motivated me, and I kept pushing through, and here we are almost 5 months into breastfeeding. It has been the best decision that I have made. I love being able to bond with him that way. And yeah, but in the beginning it is tough, I will tell you that, but just keep pushing through and you can do it. Feeling depressed, that was a big factor for me. Whenever we got home from the hospital, as you guys know, I do live away from home, so we didn't have people coming over to visit. And I mean, we had our few friends, but that was it. And I don't know, everyone is different, but I really loved the company. Like, it was so depressing to just sit on my couch, and yes, I had Peter, but that was it. And I wanted to talk to somebody. Like, I didn't want to just be here and feel depressed, and that was just me. So I would just call my mom, I would FaceTime everyone, I would just talk to them. And one thing that I do recommend is, I know it's hard when you're in pain, but try and get out of the house. My grandma was like, honey, I know it's hard, but maybe you guys should go for a walk every day. Just get out of the house, you know, get some fresh air. And so we started going on a walk every day. You gonna sneeze? And that really helped to just get some air, and I don't know, it just made me feel a little bit better knowing that I was getting out of the house despite having a baby, because you will feel drained. You won't want to leave the house. You won't feel like yourself. You know, your stomach's not down. It's just a lot of things, but get out of the house. Every day, try to go for a walk and see people. It will make you feel better talking to someone. Just get all the help that you can get. I remember our friends offered making us dinner. They came to our house, they cooked in our kitchen, and we were like, no, you don't have to do that, but really don't feel bad. It was so amazing. We had leftovers. Peter would heat it up for us, and that's what we would eat for dinner for a few days, because the first week being home with the baby is hard. Like, cooking is the last thing on your mind. It really is. You'll probably forget to eat, to shower, and I did, honestly. But yeah, get all the help you can get, and I promise you that you won't regret it. Oh yeah, have patience. It does get better. It really does. I remember just thinking, like, how can I do this? I'm not going to get through it. I remember waking up every hour of the night. They poop a lot in the beginning. They pee a lot, and it's just hard. You're trying to get used to a baby in the house, the crying, and just trying to continue to love your significant other. I know that was a big factor for us, not giving Peter enough attention, and I not giving Thunder enough attention, and I just felt so drained. I felt like I was not broken, but so out of place. Like, it's a whole new experience. And what I can say though, like I said already, is it does get better, I promise. I remember telling my mom, like, no, this is it. I'm never having a kid. It was so painful. Like, I can't do this. And I would just constantly cry, and she would be like, what's wrong? Like, I would cry. Like, there was no reason to cry. Like, Peter would be like, what's wrong? Like, you have a beautiful baby boy. Like, everything, God has blessed you. And I would just start crying. And don't think that that's bad. It's totally normal. Like, it really is. Your body is going through such a big change, and your emotions are just all over the place. You don't know how to feel, but it does get better through the weeks. I promise you, it really does. My doctor, every time you go to a checkup, like the first 6 weeks, you fill out a questionnaire to see if you have postpartum depression. And the first appointment that I went to, it was like, oh yes, you totally have it. But it was 3 weeks into my postpartum, and my doctor was like, you know, I'm gonna give you a chance. I feel like this is just the baby blues. You're going through a lot. I don't think that you have postpartum depression. You know, if you come back in another 3 weeks and you're still feeling this way, she's like, then I'll prescribe you some antidepressants. But for now, she's like, I really think that it's just getting used to being a mom. She's like, I know you got this. I'll see you back in 3 weeks. And yeah, sure enough, in 3 weeks, I was feeling a whole lot better. My body was starting to recover. I was just getting a lot of rest and just learning to be a mom. I started enjoying the experience. It's definitely a great one, I can tell you that. I want like 4 more kids now. Once the pain is all gone, like, it's just a blessing. It really is. And even though it comes with a lot of pain, emotions, they're like, Mason's my life. I cannot picture it without him, my life without him anymore. I'm excited to have more babies. I know that the pain will pass. But yeah, that was just a little bit of my postpartum experience. Just know for all you mommies to be or new moms that are struggling, I know we all have our days, because I know that I do. Some days are better than others, obviously. Babies have their happy days and their sad days. But you can get through it, I promise you. And yeah, if you have any other questions or anything that you guys would like me to film a video on, just leave it down in the comments below and I'd be more than glad to. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video of my postpartum experience. And I will see you on our next video. Bye.
Hey, I wish you could see yourself just sitting there on my chair. I'm staring at you, you don't even notice. Should've told you straight away, you don't have to be afraid.